spare the wall. Now, before I move on to the next bits of the analysis of Harry's autobiography, it's worth pausing for a moment to reflect on what I'd spoken about in the previous video about him being a scrapper. Mr. Old Red Mist, used to regularly fighting with William, as brothers do, but also used to some fairly brutal shenanigans with the children of some friends of his father, knocking lumps out of one another in their sort of war games out in the good old British countryside. So Harry paints himself as this scrapper, one that would wade in to defend his brother, that he wasn't the biggest, but he'd certainly battle away, gouging and kicking and strangling and all these other things. And yet, later on in this, as we know from the parts that have been leaked, he gets all bent out of shape because he broke my necklace and he was shoved onto the ground and broke a dog bowl. So hang on a second, Harry. Which one are you? Are you Red Mist Harry, who killed 25 Taliban and knocked the crap out of your friends? Or are you emasculated Harry that gets upset about your necklace getting broken and being knocked onto the floor by your brother and breaking a dog bowl? It makes me wonder whether that actually happened. And it's more likely that he went for William, given the fact that he is, by his own admission, Red Mist Harry the Scrapper. I should imagine that if words were exchanged, and they probably were, as, of course, with William turning up going, "Nah, you fucking listen to me, you slag. Your wife, she's a pain in the arse. She's out of order, Harold. She's out of order. You need to go and put a leash on her and bring her back in." And one could imagine that Harold got rather upset at that and went for his brother. And there was a tussle. Who knows? He might have slapped William about, now that the two of them are a similar size physically. Maybe William got bested, but William, being a man, takes it on the chin, doesn't whinge about it. But here, in order to portray the victimhood, it's reimagined of him being bested and Billy the Bully. "Oh, Billy, please don't fucking do that. You knocked me on the floor and broken my dog bowl. Oh, fucking horrible. My necklace is all broken as well." Is that a complete fabrication? It could well be, because it doesn't sit with the idea of him being a scrapper. And of course, who's caused that? Harry's wife. She's emasculated him. So it might be on this occasion with his brother, he did go toe to toe with him, but then has to make it out like he's the victim. A little bit similar in the way that Harry's wife claimed that Kate made her cry when it was clear that it was the other way around. Could it be that Harry, Red Mist Harry, was the aggressor towards his brother, but then in the aftermath has to portray it as though he's the one that's the victim? Very much commensurate with the shared fantasy of Harry's wife, very much the case of the folie à deux that he has been dragged into. Food for thought. Now, what about the wall? Well, we have the fact that Harry recalls that William didn't want to go to Cloisters, and the reason being is he couldn't face the wall. The wall is apparently 70 or so photographers that would all be there, and basically, as their father would answer the stupid questions from the press, they would stand there and have their photographs taken, and apparently this was the price that was paid to enable them to then go and ski for an hour or so in peace. He said that his father disliked it, but him and William absolutely despised it. Accordingly, to avoid that, William was happier to be at home and be shooting partridges. Harry explains he would have preferred to have done that, but he couldn't assert himself to the same degree. So it's just him and his dad, and he stuck close, and it reminded him again of Mummy, because she despised Cloisters as well. And he then recounts again, this is why she's hiding. So even, where are we? 2 years after his mother's death, he's still, at least remembering it this way, that she was in hiding. He also explains that his mum hated Cloisters because there was an accident there. There was a massive avalanche, and a friend died there. And Harry explains he enjoyed skiing and he was good at it, but he was buried under his own avalanche of emotions, and asking himself, is it wrong to enjoy a place that Mummy despises? Am I being mean to her if I have fun today on these slopes? Am I a bad son for feeling excited to get on the chairlift alone with Pa? Might these be the thoughts of a 14 or so year old boy feeling excessive guilt because he's going to a place that his mum didn't like? Or, again, is this just a layering of an image that comes from the future? Difficult to know, isn't it? If you were to give him the benefit of the doubt, you would see that he's a guilt-ridden young man, and the impact of his mother's death has had a huge impact on him. No wonder he keeps going on about it still. He then basically, there's a section where it's almost like Gollum and Smeagol, where he's having a sort of argument with himself about his mother not coming back and how she wouldn't do that to them, and how unfortunate that all was. It's evident with that recollection the impact that his mother's death has had upon him. To my mind, although he does milk it, and he's encouraged to do so, of course, by his wife, because that enables them to monetize it, which is a residual benefit for her, it's evident that his mother's death has had a huge, huge impact upon him. It plagues his thoughts, it affects his actions, it impacts upon his behaviours, and it's demonstrative of the way that he has to keep making mention of it. So far, being 60-odd pages into his autobiography, the main themes that come out of it are Red Mist Harry, bit of a scamp, bit of a rule breaker, distant father, mum dead, big problem for him, can't accept it, impacts on his behaviours, and he hates the press. Oh, and also that Africa was a place of sanctuary for him. Those are the main takeaways one would have so far. It'd be interesting to see if this remains consistent through the rest of the book, and how things might change or be exacerbated or exaggerated when Harry's wife comes on the scene. But this is what we're getting from the early stages of Harry's life as he's still in those teenage years. Next, we hear about another member of the royal family and his relationship with her. Join me there.